Day 3 is upon us. Before I jump in and show you what I did last night on the Haggadah project, I want to call out the video editing software that I'm using right now, which is called Descript. You can see it over here. Now, I'm really proficient with Adobe Premiere. I've been using it for 20 years. But the reasons that I'm using this AI tool, the main reason really is because I can record video straight into it. I want to really streamline this process. I don't have a lot of time. So capturing video in one end and then moving it to another program and all that just takes a lot of time. And here, I'm just recording and editing as I go. So I really love that. There's a lot of stuff to love here about the editing as a text document, etc. Just wanted to call this out quickly, but let's jump into the Haggadah project itself. Okay, so I'm going to mostly be working off of my Google Doc here. I had finished my outline, which kind of serves as a table of content here on the left, as you can see. And now I'm starting to populate it. I'm just using a Google Doc, and what I like about this is I'm using headlines, which are going to be topics, probably pages, but I'm not 100% sure. And that helps me navigate and kind of keep track of where I am. I could also use new tab features, but not yet. I made the mistake once of starting to over-design before I'm ready. Okay, so the first thing I want to call out here, let me make this text a little bigger, is this little icon here. So early on I decided that I really want to confiscate phones, basically. Like, no nonsense, doesn't matter if people call me a bad guy and all this. In order for this Seder to work, people need to be there, even if they're annoyed. So I was working with my ChatGPT for a while on, a fun wording or a fun ritual in which I could collect the phones in a basket or something like that. I even thought about the Moses' baby basket and all that. And I was working on a lot of different variations. I can pull them up a little bit. Like here, the movie theater echo. I was thinking there was the time period where people did really creative ads for shutting off your phones before, but I didn't want to make light of it, first of all, and second of all, I was looking at the Haggadahs that I have, and I realized one thing, that not all the text needs to be written. In fact, there needs to be some place for ad-libbing, a place for role-playing. It's almost like, I used to play D&D, it's almost like, all right, you're gonna be doing a campaign here. Out of Egypt campaign. So basically, the idea is I will confiscate the phones, I will put them all in the box, etc. But I don't need to dedicate a section in the Haggadah for it. I just put this little icon for now to remind myself as part of the checklist. And the checklist might go in the beginning, it might go at the end, we'll see. Next comes a tribute to my mom and to Aaron. And last night when I was working on this, I just didn't have the emotional fortitude to do that kind of thing. So I skipped it. I'll have to go back to that. So just started to crack into it. One thing that I love about GPT, if you look, I started, all right, I said, okay, let's do the first prayers, right? And I don't remember them by heart, so it gives them to me in Hebrew. It gives them to me with the Nikud, which is really cool. I'll zoom in here, you see, so that's proper, and that's great. One thing when we talk about theology that I went over, the first version that it gave me for the lighting of the candles, and I talked before about why I think lighting of the candle is something I really want to include. We never used to light candles on Passover, but I like signifying that now this is a holy day. Kids are used to it from Shabbat, so it's great. But first, when it gave me the English translation, it gave me, "Blessed you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has made us holy through his commandments and commanded us to light the holiday candles." Now, I speak Hebrew. I know that this is a correct translation, but it just rubs me the wrong way on a few levels. Lord our God and ruler of the universe, who has made us holy. There's some things here. They're wrong in the Hebrew. I'm not going to say that but that tradition I'm not going to let go of. But when I'm going to translate into English, I was looking for a better way to do it. And so I asked for here, can you dial down the God stuff a bit? I asked GPT. I know it's mentioned in Hebrew. I don't know what other translations are there. And I ended up going with this one. Blessed are you, Eternal One, our source of life, who makes us holy through the sacred acts and commandments, commands us to kindle the light of the holiday. That's really nice and poetic. Like the other two that he suggested, they fall in the kind of hippie side of things and are just too far away from the original material. And to me also, like, I don't want to make a big deal out of God because it's such an abstraction, but I think the idea of having a force that is bigger than us, stronger than us, humbling to us, is an important tenement of Judaism, and I don't want to get that lost. So that's why the Eternal One, okay, that's good. That's a nice name for God, actually. And so when I decided to go back, so I had my Hebrew, I had my English. For Chinese, since it's only my mother-in-law that's going to be there, I told GPT early on, just write a brief description of what it is. Don't cater to kids because she's not a kid. Don't try to make it an alliteration. She's not Jewish. She doesn't want to try to recite a prayer. I just want her to be able to stay on the same page and know what we're doing here. So here, I'm hoping the translation is right, but it says prayer for lighting holiday candles. That's exactly, the kind of amount of information we want. Next up, and probably on the same page, we did Shehechiyanu, blessing for the first time or special occasion. And this is one of my favorite prayers. Shehechiyanu, we used to say it when I was a kid, when I, we didn't bless the food very often, but when there was a new fruit in the grocery store arriving, when fruits were more seasonal, when I was a kid, we said Shehechiyanu. And the sentiment of it is thanksgiving for having made it so far, basically, for having made another season, for having made another day. There's a lot of humility in it. There's a lot of joy of life in it. And I think it's a great prayer, so I want to include it at the beginning of the holiday. Now comes what I called before the table of content, and I was kind of brainstorming ideas with GPT. Well, I had an idea. I want the whole book to be coloring book, so I decided, okay, we can make this detachable, and this can be like a treasure map. Because here's the thing: a Seder is long. A Seder can be boring. If we have it as a treasure map, when we see our destination, we're moving through the things, and we do check marks, that is both interactive for the kids, so they can how do you say it? They can mark their check on a section that they just finished. They can see, so they're doing something, and they can also see how much is left and how much they've done already. And because we called it an adventure for the beginning, I just love that idea. So it's going to be a treasure map for the Seder adventure. Just a quick description of what that is. And then just the words, basically. Now, I did the alliteration, so because this is a song, so people, my kids can't read it yet, but so my wife can at least sing along. Hebrew, alliteration, meaning in English, meaning in Chinese. That's it. No explanation, because we're going to explain any of these stages as we go through them. Na, 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 na. Now, we go to Kadesh, first cup of wine, and here I decided to do, since a kiddush is something that we do more often than most of other prayers, I wanted to kind of acknowledge that. So what I ended up with, we do an awful lot of blessing over grapes in Judaism. Tonight, we'll do it 4 times. So let's go. And what I like about the grapes, the wine, of course, alcohol, that makes us less inhibited. Problematic, of course, but you can also say perhaps enables us to connect with the godly in one way or another, maybe. But it's a special occasion when we get to drink wine and relax a little bit. And for the kids with the grape juice, at least in my household, it's the same thing, because we don't allow juice on a day-to-day. We just do water in our household. So the fact that they're getting juice and it's grape juice, it's an indulgence, just like wine is for the grown-up. So the Kiddush is a cool tradition, and I'm like, hey guys, we're going to do it 4 times now, so let's get excited about that. I have another little spiel here. My kids know I'm a stickler for washing hands, so good news, tonight we do it twice. This first one has no blessing. And I forgot to, but later on I remembered, I'm like, okay, this is also, I don't know, we can do a little snip about this is the first time we're going to start stuffing stuff from the Seder plate into our mouth. I'm just going to do a little acknowledgement here that we're moving into the Seder plate. And so, okay, we should have clean hands. We like hygiene. Karpas, I've done this before, so I'm not going to go over this again. But Beitzah, so this is a new thing. So Beitzah, since we're already dipping food in salt water, here comes the eggs. What do eggs remind us of? Pause, ask the kids. Birth, possibility, new beginnings. Eggs are a universal springtime ritual across many cultures. Easter eggs, anybody? I love the ability to include, some of these fun Christian things that Jewish kids don't get to do and are questionable. Like, I love being able to say, hey, we've been doing hard-boiled eggs for Passover forever. In a different time, if I had more locations, I would even encourage painting some Easter eggs and maybe make them like Passover related. That can be a cool thing, but I just don't think we're going to be traveling overseas, so I'm not going to have the art supplies, I think. Maybe, you know what, I'm going to put a little asterisk here, because it's not a bad idea. Easter egg decorations. Okay. Now, this next section here, which is a spring tradition, which kind of relates to what I just talked about, used to be in the beginning of the Seder, and I moved it here because this is a natural place under Karpas to talk about, where we're dipping the eggs, we're talking about the eggs, and we can talk about how universal a spring festival, spring celebration tradition is, how human and important it is for us to celebrate the end of a winter and rebirth into a new life. And this sentiment is really important. I always wanted it there, but I think this is a better place to have it, because those first few things, the Karpas, Yachatz, all these are just like rapid fire speed. So okay, we can pause a little bit on the Karpas and talk a little bit about it. It's cool. I'm into it. And then we have the Yachatz, and I talked about this a little bit. The Yachatz, there was always kind of a kid's section. The Afikoman, the chase, the treasure hunt, it all fits into it. And actually, let me make a little, when I start designing, I will make a little side note here to incorporate, to give it a treasure flavor for the map once we go to designing the map. But there's a little explanation here, and then there's the new tradition that I'm trying to instate, which is this. In our case, and I think in many households, we have a variety of children at the Seder. Some of them are older and are kind of over it and rolling their eyes. So here's an opportunity to give them responsibility and start them on the tradition of having to participate, be active in the Seder. So I decided to, the oldest child, pay attention. You're no longer the seeker. Tonight you'll be the one who breaks the middle matzah. You do like the wishbone thing. Determine which side is bigger, wrap it up, and then you're going to hide it. And that means all the little kiddos are going to have their eyes on you, because they know that the prize is hidden there, as we all know about the Afikoman. And that lays some responsibility on there. This is your first step in keeping the tradition going forward, of telling the stories. And my hope, it might very well be crushed, as we know, but it'll be interesting, is to get them more engaged that way and tie in the different ends of the spectrum of the generations that way. Anyway, if you're watching, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions, let me know. Till the next time.